Yes, hello everyone. Paranormal Whispers Podcast to episode number 303, I believe. Anyway, welcome to Paranormal Whispers. Hope y'all doing well tonight. Even though, our history of hauntings and my personal experiences at Alcatraz Island. And yes, I've been there. And I'll give you my perspective as a religious demonologist and everything like that. So, everyone, welcome back to Paranormal Whispers Podcast, and I'm your host, Nicole Gaspard, and Religious Demonologist, and I'm so grateful you've chosen to spend part of your day exploring the unknown with me. I'm not a candle for this podcast episode. So, I think it's fitting, and it's quite getting darker now. I'm waiting for it to get darker, so, there's a candle. Tonight's journey takes us across the dark waters of San Francisco Bay to one of America's most infamous prisons. If you haven't guessed already, Alcatraz Island. And so, it's a place where escape seems impossible, right? And where some prisoners even lost more than their freedom, possibly their insanity. Where many believe some never truly left, and their spirits still lingers. We're talking about the famous Alcatraz Island, a place I personally visited and toured. That left me with more questions and answers. Usually is what happens with paranormal. So, David likes drink some holy water every day, but need it. Put on your headphones. Join me as we unlock the heavy steel doors of one of the most world's iconic haunted prisons, Alcatraz Island. And by the way, before we get further into the unknown, I want to thank our sponsors who we haven't shared off yet. Dream TV Network. Thank you guys. So let's start off with the history a little bit. Now, I'm not like a history buff, but I love haunted history. So here we go. The history of Alcatraz Island, right? And these will be in my notes. I'll be disclosing my notes, at the link bottom below, And if you're new here, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and share. Sharing, right? And so it really does help a lot. Come on away with it, YouTube. We have a channel too. And we have an official email, which I'll share at the end. I'm sorry, I'm a writer too. So long before it became a federal prison, Alcatraz Island carried an eerie reputation. Native peoples of the region reportedly regarded the island with caution, and over time it served many purposes, including a military fortification and military prison. And thank you for those who served. Back in 1934, it became one of the most secure federal penitentiaries. I always say that wrong, sorry. In the U.S. alone. And mind you, the government wanted one prison that's capable of housing the world's inmate considered the most dangerous and difficult to control. All about control, isn't it? So among its famous prisoners were notorious gangsters, such as I'm sure y'all are already guessing by now, Al Capone, George Shelley, and of course Robert Stroud. Life inside Alcatraz, you can imagine, was intentionally harsh. Tiny concrete cells, they are tiny and I'm small. But can you imagine a huge person? They're probably tall, huge size. And yeah, I'm just small. I'm barely 5 foot. Anyway, tiny concrete cell, cold, and the cells, most of them have bunk beds. What is it about paranormal bunk beds? I had a bunk bed when I was younger, and I've had, well, that's another story. And so, so the tiny concrete cells, cold ocean winds, isolation therapy. I had to add therapy. Strict silence, no internet, no groceries. Of course, there's no internet back then. Silly juice. I'm a silly juice. Anyway, hope you love me. Always leave you this with me this far. Ooh, sending me diamond pennies. Yeah. All right. So, no luxuries, only routine, right? Only routine. I want black and white. Second, imagine it's black and white stripes. Okay. I should have worn my other one. I had a black and white stripe. Oh well. Here. Anyway, they have more black and white. Oh well. I should have worn my prisoner one. Oh my, I have a prisoner costume. Next time. Would you like me to wear that for the next one? Okay. Okay. So only routine and punishment. Can you imagine the punishment? So many inmates describe the psychological effects. I'm sorry, I'm a psychological horror writer. And my two books are out as we speak on Haunted Ward series. The Haunted Ward, where the changes. Anyway, uh, and Haunted Ward is out, I believe, as well. And all formats, including Audible. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nicole. So, many inmates describe the psychological effects being the worst, like the worst than physical conditions ever, you know. And the prison itself was mainly designed not only to confine the body itself, but to slowly break down the will and the intellect. I'm sure it's just the will of the body, you know. Mainly, I think because it's surrounded by water, the ocean water. Oh my god, here's my 2 cents. As for religious demonologist, you know, any place that is surrounded by water constantly moving, like when you marry ship and the other ship, you know, water is a great conduit energy source for the spirit world. So that, yep. And so here we are, the dark side of the rock, as locals would say. But over nearly 3 decades, violence became part of daily life. Can you imagine it? Violence, no peace. I like the famous saying of Mother Teresa, if there's ever a peace rally, I'll be there and I'll add someone on. We were always thinking about war, and what are we getting? War, because of the law of attraction. We gotta reverse that. We gotta think peace. Oh, I went to something. Anyway, I had a rant there. And so, of course, there were murders, there were suicides, right? Failed estate attempts, even. They were even shot. There's two, I think there's a couple inmates that were shot because they tried to escape, right? In the papers, the old papers. I'm gonna go to the library tomorrow and they have more on Alcatraz Island. Wouldn't it be interesting to see what else I find? Oh, okay. Ah, my eerie itchy was talking about me anyway. Hopefully I'll get of course fail escape attempt. I have to express that here. Right? fail a safety test, and uh, riots, of course, brutal videos, and many inmates spent time in the solitary confinement, what is also known as the whole, the whole. So imagine they're sitting alone, no internet, no luxury, complete darkness, no conversation, no clock, no sunlight. Man, that would drive anyone insane, wouldn't it? And wouldn't it drive anyone to blindness if you're constantly subdued by darkness 24/7? I think it's a possibility you can go blind. So, only the sound of dripping water and then guards yelling, whatever, talking, oops, walking. Can you imagine it like, I'll be like, just shoot me already. I don't want to experience that. And your own thoughts. Some former prisoners later claim they began hearing voices. That is the first step of going insane, right? The first phase of going insane. But if you're hearing voices, maybe they were gifted and don't even know what, like a lot of my listeners, maybe you're gifted. They're not even knowing. So, moving on. Or feeling as though someone was standing right beside him. Ooh, I'm already getting chills. How about you all? I don't know about you all, I'm getting chills. So, don't worry, I'll share my experience as well. What are those experiences came from isolation or something paranormal? No one can say for certain. Here we are, the most interesting part. Y'all ready? My visit to Alcatraz Island was amazing. And short and amazing. Years ago, it was about 10 years ago. Wow. I had the opportunity to visit Alcatraz with my cousin, and I was visiting her, up North California. For the moment the ferry approached the island, I felt something strange. You just know, you just feel it. And the city behind us seemed more alive and full of energy, right? And the person ahead, you feel all these things. You feel heavy. So, I don't know how to describe it. You just feel heavy, like can't breathe. Almost as though the island carries some hidden emotional weight from the wave, from the whispers of the waves. I believe there's an old book about that. I'm gonna look it up. That's a pretty cool title too. But I think it is already a book, Whispers from the Wave. Anyway, you can almost imagine hearing footsteps behind you, right? Metal doors echoing, voices long forgotten. So I investigated and toured many haunted locations throughout LA. Sorry. I hit my elbow. It's not funny. Each has its own personality. However, Alcatraz mainly felt different, much different. Not necessarily evil, but incredibly sad and isolation is what I was feeling. Sad and isolation. So there was an overwhelming feeling of loneliness as well. Almost like you want to cry, like I want to cry right now. I'm sorry, I'm an empath as well. For sure, if you're an empath, you will understand. As though, make sure if you are an empath, make sure you are protected spiritually. before and after the trips. And ground yourself, very important. Yeah, I didn't know that. Like, I did not. So, I've grown. I think I've grown over the years. Let me know if I've grown over the years. Okay, I haven't been an ace before, so I don't know how to act. But I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, I just turned 54 recently. So when 54, wow. So anyway, as though the walls go back to Alcatraz, the walls themselves is like kind of absorb decades of despair. So inside the cell block. Now, standing inside one of the cells was very uncomfortable. I did it. I did it. And I'm proud of it. Oh, I should have worn my Alcatraz shirt. Maybe next time. But the room was so small. Even small for me, and I'm barely 5 foot. Can you imagine 6 or 7 tall man? Oh my goodness. There's a sink that is absolutely gross, and the toilet is even grosser. They really have to get their plumbing fixed. Ugh. Yeah. Anyway, can you imagine smelling that urine and all that? Heat. Anyway, I'm weird. And little else, I remember wandering around, hanging back from the room. And I like to do that. I like to hang back from the room so I can feel more observant, just observant, and see what comes up. So, how long would it take before someone began talking to themselves? Not because of old age, I have that excuse, but how long did it take for that environment for someone to literally start going insane? Many visitors report certain cold spots. I might have felt that, but I didn't know what it was back then. Others describe unexplained whispers. Some claim to even hear crying and heavy footsteps. I didn't know the jars are probably wearing boots. Back then, they didn't wear sneakers. So, at least I don't think they did. I think the prison guard wore boots. And they jingled the keys, right? They said they had keys. Um, so, or prison door. I do have something behind me that is from Alcatraz. A whistle they used to have. Not one of their whistles. If I still have it right here. Here it is. Ha ha. Talk about Alcatraz. You gotta have the Alcatraz whistle. And here it is, folks. Right here in my hand. Oh, here it is. That's the golden whistle that is. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Sorry if that hurt your ears. Sorry. It's not completely dark, so I'm saying. I can't blow anyway. But that's overrated. Don't laugh. But it's just for fun. Yeah, I'll just try. I can wear out the shade if I wanted. I'm gonna do that. Make shade. But anyway, I am back to more of the story. So the prison doors slamming despite the wind being nearby. Yes. I've experienced that. Prison cell doors. Bam! Slamming. And there was nobody on the other floor as far as we know. So what did that tell you? And so the atmosphere was like unlike any place I've ever visited. Will I go there again? Hell yeah! Now that I have more knowledge about paranormal, knowledge is power, right? So we gotta talk about the legend of Cell 14D. There's not an episode in Alcatraz without talking about that. So perhaps the most famous location of Alcatraz is this cell 14D. I think I took a picture of that, but I gotta find it in my files. Anyway, shows how well prepared I am not. But anyway, this particular isolation cell has become legendary, right? And one prisoner reportedly claimed that something with glowing eyes. Now they didn't say what colored eyes they were, whether it be red, green, or whatever. They just said glowing eyes. My eyes, not really right. But anyway, my eyes are usually blue. Sometimes when I get shadow, they're either darker colors or weird. So there's glowing eyes. Attacked him during the night. It's like, oh, eerie. He might have been helpless, trapped in a cell. No one to rescue you or hear you. And he screamed and screamed until morning. Yep, indeed. And get this. According to the history story, guards later found him dead, unalive. So, what does that say? How much compassion did the guards really have? None. Are they really that hard? Perhaps. I mean, they almost have to be, right, guard? I mean, you're a prisoner guard for Alcatraz. Let us know. I'd love to hear your stories. The artificial email, which is like our podcast name, Paranormal Whispers Podcast at gmail.com. Pretty easy. Send us your story. Even if you weren't a guard, maybe you were an inmate. I'm glad to hear from you. I'm sure our audience would too. So, the official records in Alcatraz attribute deaths to mainly like natural causes, of course, violence, of course, suicide, or was it suicide? Or other documented incidents, many ghost stories surrounding sublet 14D remain part of the local folklore. I'm sorry, I'm holding a candle here. Rather than verify historical facts. Was it terror, hallucination, or something else? I like to say a little bit of everything. And that question continues to fascinate visitors. And if you're here, paranormal enthusiasts are like from around the world to this day. Now, it was saying that President Trump was wanting to reopen Alcatraz to house inmates of today. What would that been like? Oh, man. Anyway, so I don't think that went well. And that case is closed, as far as I know. So, what unexplained experiences at Alcatraz Island? You still with me? Many park employees, tour guides, and visitors have shared their unusual stories over the years. When we found out, of course, I love to research. Part of my job as a writer, right? And host. So some describe hearing distant banjo music, often associated with the memory of guess who? Al Capone, who was known to play the banjo while in prison. Very interesting. And others might report phantom footsteps, shadowy figures, cold breezes in sealed rooms, whispering voices, cell doors appearing to move on their own and closing and opening on their own. And of course, not every strange experience points to ghosts. It's historic. Buildings naturally produce unusual sounds like the old Victorian mansion, if you will. Even the one in Disneyland is notably haunted. And you might even feel shifting temperatures and echoes. But for many, the feeling that someone else is here is what stays with them the longest, even after they leave. Alright, this is really at the end. To be more interesting, I'm going to share more what I actually felt. Not necessarily seen, but what I felt when I was there in Alcatraz. So, here we go. One thing I've learned over many years while investigating or touring haunted, various places throughout California. I'm gonna love to travel abroad one day. But sometimes it just isn't about seeing full-blown apparition or demon. And yes, I have seen both. They're not fun. Demons are worse, far more worse. But we'll talk about that in another episode. But Alcatraz is simply the overwhelming feeling of human emotions, echoes. Talk about echoes from the past. Man. But fear, grief, and hopelessness, mostly what I sensed at Alcatraz. And isolation. I keep hearing isolation therapy. You know what that means. So, I don't know if it resonates, isolation therapy. But not necessarily panic, not necessarily all evil. Not everything is a demon. But it can lead to that route and the being that's old, even older than being something ancient. Like my book here, Haunted Ward. I'm being chill already. I'm gonna have a freaking nightmare about yo. But it's not necessarily all evil, all trash. But it's like layer upon layer emotional history, whether or not someone believes in ghosts or not. I mean, you don't have to be a psychic to feel all these emotions. It can be separate as well. I feel them. So, places like Alcatraz, where countless of people suffer, often leave a mark and powerful impression. Mark. And I'm sure most of you would agree. Right? So yeah, we're almost to the end of the episode. Don't go away yet. What do you think about Alcatraz Island? Is it truly haunted? I never know. Could decades of pain and sorrow leave an imprint? Can locations remember? Are hauntings actually intelligent spirits? I've been often asked, yes and yes and yes to all the possibility. And even residual energy of magnetic pulse stuff energy. Or simply their minds or our minds responding to its history. So it's wise to go into these places with no expectation whatsoever. Just keep an open mind and observe That's what I do. And there are no easy answers in this field. So that's what keeps places like Alcatraz alive. It's so fascinating, isn't it? Isn't it? But here's the final thoughts and then we'll wrap it up. So Alcatraz isn't just merely a tourist destination. It's a place filled with stories, ghost stories, and stories of regret, isolation, hope, and desperation. Some ended peacefully, others ended violently, and perhaps some stories are still being told. If you ever had the opportunity to visit Alcatraz Island, go, as with most of these places, always go with an open mind. Don't ever expect anything. You'll be surprised if you don't expect anything to happen. You'll be surprised. So, go with an open mind. Take your time, observe, listen. Whether you experience something supernatural or not, simply appreciate its incredible historic value, right? So thank you so much, Paranormal Whispers, hi, for joining me for another episode, 303 episode. Hopefully I got it right this time. But I know we have a larger archive in this 14 videos. And I think every time I retitle my channel on YouTube, it is still a new phase. So we're still up to the 300. Don't worry. You can check our archive on playlists like Spotify, iTunes, wherever you listen to your pod, okay? And let's see. If you ever visit Alcatraz and experience something unusual, we'd love to hear your story, okay? If you want to call or text us, I have an email, Paranormal Whispers Podcast, gmail.com. It's pretty easy. And I'll link it below once we're done here. And you can share those your experiences through our website, nicolegaspard.com. Like my name, so it's pretty easy. And even on our social media pages, we are everywhere. So your story, or if you want to be a guest, can be featured in a future episode. We're always seeking guests. Or if you know someone, you or you know someone that would love to be on our show, look this up. There's my co-host, Casey Denise. He's usually with us during the interviews, so and he finds some people that maybe is not on my list. So it's pretty cool. And he actually met top people in the field. So yeah. And so thank you all for joining with me today. And actually has been a night already. So if you're joining the paranormal, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. If you want more spooky ghost stories, leave a review and share this episode with someone who loves mysterious places and ghost stories as much as I do. Till next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember sometimes the loudest whispers come from the quiet places. And I'm your host, your religious demonologist, Nicole Gaspard. Oh yeah, and stay weird. Thank you and good night.